Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Lance Loya, who's the founder and CEO of the Good Teammate Factory. Lance, welcome to the program.
Hello, Mike. Good to be here.
Hey, I'm looking forward to talking with you. And I always like when I hear the name of a company for the first time or, your project is, I like to think about first impression. So the Good Teammate Factory gives me the impression that you can actually crank out and make good teammates. So it's kind of like, are they born or made? Well, if you've got a factory, we can probably talk at length about how you are going to teach people how to be and develop good teammates. So I'm excited to talk to you about this. But first, give us a little bit of your story. What is your background?
Well, I help people build good teammates.
Hey, okay. Well, thanks for coming on. Have a nice day.
Right?
That's exactly right. Right. Let's keep it simple. Good teammates.
For any entrepreneur, and Mike, I'm sure you can relate to this. That's a tough question when you're at a party, you meet someone the first time. You say, well, what do you do for a living? If you're an accountant or, you're a teacher or a lawyer, you have a very plain answer. People have things that they automatically associate. When you're an entrepreneur, it's hard. So I say my stock response is I help people become better teammates. And of course, the follow-up is, well, how do you do that?
And do you go both directions where you help people become good teammates, and then you also work with the management to help, like team managers, help develop the team members into being good teammates?
Absolutely.
So it goes both ways. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, a lot of times managers say, well, they complain of all these problems they have and all the fledgling things that are going on at their organization, their company. And they say, wow, we just need some teamwork. And I want to say to them, no, you don't have a teamwork problem. You have a teammate problem.
Yeah.
So my background, you're asking, it's very simple. I'm a former college basketball coach. Now I write books and I give talks and presentations at conferences and to business and corporate events to help people develop better teammates.
Nice. I love that. And I'm sure and certain that if we dug into some of your teachings, we would have playbooks and plays and diagrams and all kinds of sports acronyms, which is great. It helps people to relate to that. It makes me think of a question too, like the old saying, and I forget who it's attributed to, but if you want to if you want friends, you need to show yourself to be friendly. Well, if you want better teammates, then you better show yourself to be a good teammate to begin with. So it puts the onus in the right spot, doesn't it?
It sure does. I mean, you look at salespeople, too often they're pushing because they have their agenda. They want to sell for them. They're trying to get their commission or whatever. And the reality is, if you build a relationship and you prove yourself that you're in this with them, you want them to have the right product and it helps them. You're going to help them. You're a teammate in their problem. You're an invested teammate in their problem. Then you've got something to work with.
And you mentioned sales, and it makes me always think of like simple, tiny mindset shifts, because in reality, you're not closing the sale. You're opening a relationship. And if you can view that, then you're not the salesperson with commission breath trying to get her done and get the paycheck. You're looking at down the road, long term, and what's the lifetime value, all of those things. So I'm sure you've got many ways that you help people adjust their mindset. But first, let's start with, what actually does it mean to be a good teammate?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ways that team leaders fail is they try to tell each other, you got to hold each other accountable, and we got to be team players, and they make no effort to really clearly define that or explicitly lay out what it means to be a good teammate. And certainly they don't do it in a way that is easy to remember, easy to recall, and easy to apply to their team. And I think I have something like that. It's something I call the we gear, and there's a certain stickiness factor to it. Now, Mike, you strike me as an overachiever, so I'm curious do you know how to drive a stick shift, like a manual transmission?
I do, and I really enjoy it. In fact, it's funny.
You guys are always so proud of yourself.
I know, it really is, because I think only like 7% of vehicles are made as stick shifts. And I've got a son who's 19 now, but when I was teaching him how to drive, I taught him on a regular automatic. Well, he bought a truck. about 2 years after that, well, we got a good deal from a friend at church, and lo and behold, it's a stick shift. So we're sitting there in the church parking lot, and I'm having to have a chiropractic appointment, after, each time. But he got it, and now he says, I will never, buy another vehicle unless it's a stick shift. He loves it. So what's your point about
shifting gears? You said it.
Yeah.
It's less than 4% of the cars sold last year in the United States, and less than 19% of the cars manufactured even come with a stick shift option. So it really seems odd to explain the art of being a good teammate through what is essentially a lost art, shifting gears.
Yeah.
But it's an analogy that makes sense. Now, here's how it works. We, as humans, we have clutch moments in our lives. It's those junctures where we've got to make a quick decision about how we're going to perceive. And as humans, we have gears. Most of us spend most of our time in the me gear, where it's all about me, 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 me. What's in it for me? What's the benefit me? I heard an analogy once at everybody's favorite radio station.
Yep. WIIFM.
Yes.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? And that's how people operate. And they listen to that radio station so much. Here's what it means to be a good teammate. When good teammates come to clutch moments, they shift from me to we. They base their decisions off the answer to one simple question. What is best for my team? They put we ahead of me, and that becomes the guiding principle of their life, of their decision making.
I agree with that 1,000%, and I'll bet you that you've seen it done the wrong way, where people would view that as just a formula, and it's kind of like the old black and white movies. You see the bellman bring up the bags up to the door, and they stand with their hands out, like literally, like give me my tip, because you're doing something so that you get something. So how do you teach your leaders how to instill this into their team so that it's like, okay, I put the team first, the we first. But not because tomorrow morning I want reciprocity, but because it's the right thing, and that's just how we roll.
Well, it's a me gear decision, isn't it? It's your actions are motivated by what is the benefit for you instead of the benefit for your team. So once you lay that out and you have that concrete understanding, I like to say, and this is the next step to it, you've got to create teammates who are alive. Now, anybody can be a good teammate. It really is nothing more than a choice. So, it really requires nothing than a pulse. But alive is also, it's duality. It's also an acronym. And it stands for active, loyal, invested, viral, and empathetic. And those are the 5 keys to being a good teammate. As I studied this genre of human beings, I've seen these same 5 behaviors occurring over and over. And once you understand them and you understand how they apply, then you understand the what's behind your motives to act.
Yeah, I really, and you know what? It's almost like gives me the connotation of like it's a living, breathing organism. The business is, the team is, the relationships, and it's like if you do something to stimulate it positively, like social capital, relational capital, then it's going to pay off dividends. I've heard it said, some speaker back in the day was like, you can value your relationships by how many people you could call at 3 a.m. and go, I need your help. Well,
and they'll be there.
Yeah, right. So if they'll be there, then it's like, okay, you've done some good things in the past because you have earned the right to ask that question. If you would, get people to say no, then, in the theory is it is a seesaw type relationship. You've got to give and serve so that if and when the time comes, they're ready to give and serve to you.
But as a matter of loyalty there, and people think just because they have a title, they're entitled to loyalty, and it doesn't work that way. You earn loyalty through your actions, and when you're a good teammate, everybody thinks of loyalty as being this reciprocated 2-way street. I'll be loyal to you if you're loyal to me, or I'll get your back if you get my back. But that's not loyalty.
Don't keep score.
That's bartering.
Yep.
Good teammates will take the attitude that I'll get your back, whether you get mine or not. I'll get yours because that's what's best for our team. And that's where it's the allegiance to something greater than themselves.
It reminds me of I'm a big avid book reader. Have you ever read the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg?
I have. I am familiar with the book.
Love it. And it's just that mindset of, he's a real go-getter. Nope. If you switch it around and go give and serve and give value and give results in advance and put yourself behind, the we gear, if you're doing that, you're a giver, you're giving value, and then good things happen. And I know that in that book, he teaches and talks about, don't keep score. Don't go, well, I've given this and this and this, so where's mine? So I'm going to stop until I get it. No, it's just like you do it because you know it's the right thing to do for the team, for the outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's, you always ask, well, why should I be a good teammate? Well, you touched on it earlier because the unexpected is inevitable. There is going to be some challenge that pops up, and at that moment, you are going to need help. Who are you going to go to? And ideally, it's people you've served who are now going to serve you.
So how do leaders create better teammates? I know that's probably a 3-day all weekend seminar that, to cover that. But in a nutshell, what are some of the low-hanging fruit places that you start when you're working with leaders?
Well, the first thing is getting them to understand what it means to be alive. And you've got to create a jargon that binds the culture of your organization, be it a corporation or whatever your company is. For all the faults that come with the military, they do a great job of that. They have jargon. There's a language that every soldier, every lieutenant general, everybody speaks, and they all know those acronyms and stuff. And I think you can do that with your team too. I like the we gear. I like, you got to be alive. You tell someone, you're being selfish. You're not a team player. Well, it's kind of offensive. It's abrasive. Yeah. Hey, you got to get in the we gear. Well, it's kind of encouraging.
It's like a pattern interrupt.
Yeah. And one of the best ones, I think, and this is key. If you're going to build good teammates, you've got to lay out your expectations. And one of the expectations is you've got to be active. When you see a problem, you don't blame, shame, or complain. You act. And I like to call those good teammate moves. Makes sense, right? Basketball players, they got moves. They go by the back, between your legs. More moves they have, better players they are. Same thing for good teammates. The more good teammate moves you make, and those are those selfless actions that move the team forward, the better teammate you are. So you see someone, you say, well, random act of kindness or a good deed. Those are generic terms. They don't resonate with people. But that term good teammate move, and you say, how many good teammate moves did you make today? Well, that gives you, something to build on, something to strive for.
Yeah, 100%. I like on your website, you've got teamwork doesn't happen without good teammates, and it really is. It's like, that's the ultimate, pinnacle that you're saying we need teamwork. But at the end of the day, what's beneath the surface there? Good teammates.
It's that mentality. I mean, here's the reality. There is what I like to call the teammate curve. And if you think of a typical bell curve, Mike, and this is the typical curve of your random underperforming team. At one end of the spectrum, you've got those top 10%. There's the ones that come in early, they stay late, they do everything that's asked, and they're all about the team. Those are your good teammates. They're the volunteers. Now, at the other end of the spectrum is the bottom 10%. Those are your voluntolds.
Yeah.
They're the ones that cause you to lose sleep at night. Yeah. Now, in the middle is this 80% gelatinous blob, and what you're trying to do is sway them. You don't want to do anything that's going to alienate the top 10%. Don't want to do anything that's going to empower the bottom 10%. And you're going to try and turn that curve into a slope. Now, logic suggests if I just chop off that bottom 10%, I fire them, I get rid of them, our whole culture will change. But it doesn't happen because all that happens is the next malcontent slides into that spot. And that is a leadership failure. So what you got to do is you've got to create a culture that prioritizes a mindset of a good teammate. And once you have that and you say, this is what we are about here, well, then that's when your real changes start to happen.
Your V for alive viral, it reminds me of the old saying, practice makes perfect. And people go, yeah, practice makes perfect. Nope. Perfect practice makes perfect, because if you practice something the wrong way, you're going to get perfectly wrong. Well, same way with your viral here, your example about if you have people doing the things for the wrong reason or doing the wrong things, that's going to spread, and the bad apple spoils the bunch, and you get one or two teammates that are like, nah, I'm not all in. That's going to quickly go viral. And then, but the same way on the positive side, you bring someone in or you get someone flipping in their mindset and working for the right reason, working for the we, that starts spreading viral in a positive way.
Yeah, that's a great sports quote about the perfect practice. To younger generations, that word viral has taken on such a different meaning, hasn't it? I mean, it equates to popular.
Yeah.
But before pop culture hijacked the term, it had a much different meaning. I mean, it's to spread, and it's that emotional contagion. It's where you're in charge of your body language and your positive attitude. And those things can spread to others. Fortunately, so can your bad habits and your bad attitudes. And that's where you get those clicks. those little mini teams within the teams where all the miserable malcontents gather to complain.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Seth Godin is one of my favorite authors, and he talks about the concept called sneezers. It's like, they're just going to sneeze all over the place, and it's no social media, it could be good. You could be sneezing in a good way and just getting the good out there, but the idea of virus gets spread, and you want those good ideas to be spread in a positive way. And I really like you said, those acronyms, what does it mean to be alive and being active, loyal, invested, viral? But at the end of the day, that empathetic really does tie in, because if you're the leader trying to fine tune and amplify your team, you can't just crack the whip and say, do it. You've got to be empathetic to maybe where they at. And so what are some of the key things to keep in mind on the empathetic?
I think good teammates operate off a role. Empathy is such a buzzword now in educational and leadership.
Yeah, the emotional quotient, EQ.
Yeah, and it really is. But there's a lot of truth into it, and it really is impactful when you understand it. I mean, people still confuse sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is when you feel bad for somebody. Empathy is when you feel what it's like to be somebody. Empathy can lead to sympathy, but empathy can also lead to tough love. To drawing that line in the sand, to holding people accountable. What I like to think of empathy is, before you criticize, empathize. Make a point to understand their point of view. And we were talking about shifting in the car analogy earlier. If you look at an automatic car, it's very simple. You put the car in D, it goes forward. Put it in R, it goes backwards. Put it in P when you're ready to stop. But don't put it in P while it's moving forward or backwards. That P is not going to stand for park. It's going to stand for problem. Broken transmission problem, which you have to understand. Sometimes those malcontents, those team busters, they have a broken transmission and they can't shift. They can't put me first. Maybe they're having they're going through a divorce, they're having some kind of home problems. Maybe they're having financial problems. And until you get to the nature, what the root of their problem is, you're really not going to be able to get them on board with your team.
Yeah. That's a great point. Well, it's just been really neat talking with you. I love your approach and just really simple to get these points across. So if someone is interested, Lance, in learning more, picking up copies of your book and learning how to be a better teammate and create better teams, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
Google my name, Lance Loya, LanceLoya. And then awesome. You can click on the website, CoachLoya.com. And I'm available on all the normal social media outlets. And I'm very adamant that our team is a good team to good teammates to people who approach us. So we are very responsive to any DMs or emails we receive.
Excellent. Well, Lance, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Likewise, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.